I don't think has profound implications. There's one thought.
Okay.
One curiosity.
Yes.
Is that the Saudis have been brewing for a couple of years now the idea of Mecca mean time, that they want to move the mean time away from Greenwich,
right,
and place it in Mecca. And
oh.
They have in plan stages like a grand clock that will be the timekeeper for the world. I think that's another piece of evidence of Saudi grandiosity.
Right, but how would that? So it would be 24 time zones, but 100 hours would be Mecca time.
Yeah.
So you're
nothing much would change except instead of Greenwich mean time or universal mean time going through Greenwich in Britain, it would be through Mecca.
Okay, sure. How do you think custodianship of Mecca and Medina has aggravated divisions between Shiites and Sunnis, and have therefore contributed to extremist posturing amid the Muslim world?
Well, the Saudi leadership despises Shiites and has made that known on a number of occasions, which has prompted the Shiites, particularly those in Iran, to respond in kind, leading to some large acts of violence, especially in the late 80s. It's again in keeping with the Saudi supremacist outlook that Muslims are better than non-Muslims, and Sunnis are better than Shiites, and Wahhabis are better than Sunnis, and so forth.
Okay. A question of two King Abdullahs. King Abdullah II of Jordan is, as you well know, the world's most famous, most well-known Hashemite, which means, as you know, that he traces his genealogy all the way back to the Prophet of God, Muhammad. When Abdul Aziz of the House of Saud, as you also well know, took full control of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia pre-1938, which is when they found oil, he took over custodianship of Mecca and Medina from the descendants of Muhammad, something that is proclaimed on the Ministry of Hajj website. What do you think would now be required to non-violently return custodianship of Mecca and Medina from King Abdullah of Saudi Arabia back to the descendants of Muhammad, like King Abdullah II of Jordan?
That's just one correction. The Saudis took over the Hashemites in the mid-20s.
Right. Yeah.
I can't imagine the Saudis quietly giving up control of Mecca. As I indicated earlier, it is essential to their sense of legitimacy and prestige. Formally speaking, the king of Saudi Arabia is no longer called the king, it's called the custodian of the two mosques. So Mecca and Medina are at the heart of Saudi monarchical legitimacy. I can't imagine they give it up.
Right.
I can't imagine.
Okay. But how do you think such a non-violent return of custodianship of Mecca especially, to the descendants of Muhammad would stimulate and energize moderate Muslims in the Middle East, hypothetically speaking?
Well, I think it would be enormously helpful if the Saudis didn't have control of the Arabian oil revenues. That would make a huge difference if this extreme form of Islam were defunded. That would be great help.
Right.
If King Abdullah of Jordan had that money instead of King Abdullah of Saudi Arabia, that'd be a great thing. I don't see Mecca itself as terribly important. The buildings there and the control of it in the evolution of modern Islam. Mecca has been historically important as a meeting ground, as a place for scholars to go from around the world, scholars of Islam, and learn the current trends of it. So from that point of view, it could have an influence. But I think more important than Mecca is all that money. That money is hugely important and has been used decisively by the Saudi leadership.
Finally, how do you think this hypothetical return would help improve relations between Iran and the United States via its close political and economic ally, Saudi Arabia?
I think were the Saudis to lose control of Mecca and the oil revenues, they would revert to being a rather small player on the international scene. Their brand of Islam would collapse, but would deflate, would be far less important. That itself would be helpful in many, many ways, including dealing with Iran. But the Saudis are clever and have developed several different armed forces so that it would internally to overthrow them. And they are precious to the outside world, so it would be very hard externally to overthrow them. So I don't see them going anywhere. And they've evolved a number of institutions of governorship that are unique. To take just one example, most monarchies number in the singles or the double digits, 15 people, 25 people. In Saudi Arabia, it's in the thousands, if not over 10,000. You have a whole nomenclature of princes. This is unheard of. Yet it gives great stability because you have a prince fulfilling almost any important job. It gives you
sorry, with the nomenclature? I'm sorry, the nomenclature of princes?
The presence of so many thousands of princes establishes what something comparable to what the Soviets called the nomenclature. The ruling class.
The what?
Nomenclature.
No, intelligentsia or bureaucrat?
No.
Nomenclature is something you... the act of naming.
For the ruling elite.
Sorry?
And that's what the Saudi ruling thing is.
I thought nomenclature was the act of naming something, like Adam and Eve had nomenclature, and Adam named everything.
That's nomenclature in English. There is a nomenclatura in English.
Oh, okay. Sorry, sorry about that. Well, thank you very, very much, Dr. Pipes. And I'll be sure to send you the article once it's prepared.
Very good.
Goodbye. Farewell.